Well, let's get started. Okay, hi everybody. Hi, Anime Asians. Joining us for office hours today in January. Today we have with us Michelle Wirono, aka Scribble Rabbit. She is a junior concept artist and character designer. Right. And today she has a lovely presentation for us for office hours. So please enjoy and learn. Save your questions for later. So Michelle, please take over.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, welcome to today's evening office hour. My name is Michelle Wirono, and I will be your guest for today's office hour. So, a little bit about myself. My name is Michelle Wirono. I am from Indonesia. I graduated last year in May from Columbus College of Art and Design, majoring in illustration and minoring in 2D animation. So my main focus is mostly illustration, visual development, and concept art. Yeah, I've always wanted to do concept art ever since high school because growing up with very strict parents, I wasn't allowed to game a lot. So I had to watch a lot of gameplays, and that was just what I did whenever I have spare time. And the more I watched these gameplays, I realized that there are people who are responsible for creating the characters, the environments, the props, and that made me realize that, ooh, I would like to do that in the future as my career. And so fast forward to today, I am currently working at Fungi Games here in LA as a junior concept and character artist. So yeah, how I got in the industry. This is gonna be a very brief explanation of how I got in the industry from college to where I'm at now. So I started applying pretty early. I started applying to jobs and internships back in junior year because I'm sure some of you guys know as an international student, you only have 3 months to land a job. If not, you have to go back home. And that is a lot of pressure. I didn't like that at all, but I do feel grateful that I was able to experience that pressure because it was one of the biggest motivators for me to keep on applying, even though I got multiple rejections. As yeah, I mean, it's part of the process. Besides applying early, I also took classes outside of school, especially classes that are made by industry professionals, such as last year I took a class by Kat Sai. Um, it's her color and light class. I feel like those classes are very beneficial because not only do you get to learn what the industry is looking for, but you also get to learn the skills and techniques that the industry is currently using, and you can put that to use in your portfolio. But I do understand that these classes can be very pricey and expensive, so it's not mandatory to take these classes. Just take them when you can. But what's free though most of the time is portfolio reviews. So I did a ton of portfolio reviews, and there's a lot of organizations out there who provide this reviews, such as THU, and then even Animation, our Discord, other art Discords such as Resolution Art. You can just put your work in there and then ask for feedback. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who share the same goals as you, share the same interests as you, and they'll know a thing or two about portfolios. So not only do you get feedback, valuable feedback for your portfolio, but you also feel less lonely in your art journey because I don't know, maybe it's just me. When I was making my portfolio, I tend to just be cooped up in my room alone, and that that feels kind of depressing. So when you have like groups such as animation and other art discords, um, it just makes you feel less lonely, and that you feel like how do I word it? Like you're not the only one who's going through I don't know how to explain it. You're not the only one you're not alone in this journey. There we go. uh, Besides portfolio reviews, as I said earlier, I applied to multiple applications. I wish someone told me earlier that it was normal to get rejected as a newcomer to the industry, because when I first started applying and then I instantly get rejected, I felt like I was doing something wrong or that I wasn't cut out for the industry. But it's getting rejected even like more than 100 times. That is normal. That is part of the process. And besides that, applying to these like companies and studios, there are benefits to that even when you get rejected, because the industry is small. So when you keep on applying to these studios and companies, people will recognize your name. And then especially when you have improved your portfolio every time you apply, people and recruiters, they'll notice. And the last thing that I would like to point out and what helped me get in the industry is to do your research on the company that you want to work for, especially when you reach the interviewing stage. They'll ask you something along the lines of, why did you apply to us? What made you interested in our studio? When you do your research, you definitely know how to answer those questions. So what I did when they asked me that, I said something like, "Oh, your goals align with mine and with my skills. Not only will it help me reach my goals, but I will also be helpful with reaching the company's goals." Something like that. It just makes you a stronger candidate. So yeah, that's how I got in the industry. So moving on to my portfolio. So I'll be screen sharing my portfolio after this, and then I'll mostly be talking about what should be in a portfolio and what should be in a VisDev and concept art portfolio. And also I'll be talking about the feedbacks that I got from my most recent portfolio review and the portfolio reviews that I got back in college. I feel like those feedbacks could be helpful for you guys. So yeah. Okay, welcome to my portfolio. The first thing that I like to point out about building a portfolio is to make sure when people go into your portfolio, they'll be able to directly see your work, because recruiters, they only spend a few seconds going through people's work. So if they have to go through multiple tabs, multiple pages and clicks, they'll probably skip your portfolio, and we do not want that. And then make sure to include your name, your contact info, and your location somewhere noticeable in your portfolio, either at the very end of the portfolio or at the very top. And you don't have to put your name and contact info in every image or work in your portfolio like how I did here. I feel like that's too much. I overdid it. So just put it somewhere where people would notice. And yeah, so I'll be talking about the feedbacks that I got according to the projects that I have in my portfolio. So starting with this project called Shrooms. So the feedback I got for this is to either get rid of this boy character here or include him in one of my moment paintings or illustrations, because as you can see, he's only a character design, but he's not in any of my paintings. And as a recruiter, this can be kind of confusing because you don't know if this boy is in the story, is he a part of the project? So when you have something like this in your portfolio, either you get rid of the character or quickly make an illustration with the character in it when you have time. And another feedback that I got is about shape contrast, especially when you make prop designs and character designs, try to play around with the shape sizes. So for example, here, this tree right here on the bottom right. So you can see that the trunk is the biggest shape, and then the medium shapes would be the leaves. But then there is no smaller shapes, there's no micro shapes. So when you make these props and characters, make sure to play around with the shape size. I actually have an image here that would be helpful when I explain this. Okay, so shape contrast. So when you make props, make sure there is a clear contrast between large, medium, and small shapes. And then when you make these shapes, you don't divide them equally. Divide them in how do I explain this? So for example, when you have this rock right here, the biggest rock could make up 60% of the design, and then the medium rock could make up 30%, and then the small rocks that are mostly just accents, it can make up 10% of the design. And it doesn't have to be 60, 30, 10%. It can be anything you want. Yeah, just don't make the sizes all equal, because when you do that, your design feels unnatural or stiff. There we go, that's the word. So yeah, shape contrast is important, especially for props and character design. And moving on to my second project. So when you make moment paintings or illustrations, especially things in the foreground of your work, try to make the foreground objects overlap with the edge of your illustration, because if not, it would create a lot of tension between that foreground object and the edge of the illustration. I have an example here, which is my own painting. This mom cat and her kid, like her head especially, it's so close to the edge of the illustration that it's kind of distracting. So when you have something like this, just overlap that character or object. And then when you do illustrations like this, make sure, I'm sure most of you guys have heard of this, but make sure to turn your illustration into a grayscale value, and to make sure you group your values and play with light. Because if not, the values are everywhere, and then people won't understand where they're supposed to look at. So initially, this cat and fish head painting didn't look like this. It used to look like this, the first one. If you turn this into black and white, you don't know where to look at, especially the first painting. A lot of my friends told me the first thing that stood out to them from the first painting is the cat's leg, because that is the lightest value in the painting. So when you turn your painting into black and white, you'll know what to fix, especially coloring wise, value wise. And yeah, in number 2, you can see that I have improved the lighting. I made sure that the part of the painting with the biggest contrast is between the character and the background, or the thing that I would like to make people see first, which for this painting is the cat and the fish head having dinner. And yeah. Now on to interior paintings. So when you do interior paintings, I learned this from work as well. When you do interior paintings, you don't have to make them have a dynamic perspective like what I did here, because after you do the concept for this interior, it will be passed down to the 3D people. So when imagine someone sending you a warped image of a room, and then you have to make a 3D interior from that warped perspective concept. it's not very beneficial, right? So when you make interiors like this, it's okay to make use of a simpler perspective. Like you can even use isometric for this. And also, when you make interiors like this, don't forget to put your project's story in it. So for this one, I was going for an old restaurant, which is why I added like cracks and then a bit of dirt on the ground and on the walls. And I also wanted to show that someone just moved into the restaurant, which is why it's kind of empty, and then you see boxes here and there. So yeah, when you make interiors, don't just make a clean looking room, but add personality to it. It's okay to make the room dirty or not perfect. It just gives it more characteristic, and that's what recruiters want to see. Oh, and again, back to talking about shapes. When you do structures and props especially, it's good to exaggerate the lines, the shapes especially, because it just makes the design look fun and less stiff. But when you do this, make sure to think of its functionality, because when I made this props, I didn't think much about the structure. I mostly I want it to look fun. I want it to look wonky. Yeah, so the feedback I got for this from my review is, yeah, to think of the structure. Because if you take a look at this TV right here, it looks fun, right? But structurally, I don't think it would work. I actually have a better example to explain this in my last project, which we will get to after this. And for VisDev and concept art, expression sheets are not mandatory. Actually, you don't really have to put expression sheets, but if you do, just include 3 or 4 expressions that you like the most, and then just include them in your character sketches or character turnarounds. But yeah, expression sheets isn't really important for concept art and VisDev. I'm trying to scroll. Okay, now on to my last project. Again, when you have something in the foreground and then it's like way too close to the edge, just overlap them. Don't be like me and make the tray of cupcakes so close to the edge. That's not good. That's very distracting. Okay, so this is the better example of what I was talking about, shape and functionality. So this car turnaround here, it looks all right? It looks fun, but this dog catcher right here he's kind of thick. He's kind of chunky. I don't think he would be able to fit into this small car door. So when you make prop designs and such, make sure that it would work in the universe that you're creating, and make sure that the structure is believable enough to work. So yeah, when you make prop designs, think of its functionality, but also at the same time try to make it fun, exaggerated, but not too much. And yeah, so that's the portfolio side of things. In your portfolio, I encourage you guys to also put personal work or studies. For me, I did plein airs. And one thing that I would like to point out from this is for VisDev and concept art, when you can, try to include one setting with 3 to 4 different moods. So for this one, I did morning. I did a room at morning time, sunset time, and then at night. It's, I don't know, I feel like recruiters like to see that, and that you get to, like, you understand how color and light work, because most of the time, VisDev and concept art, we tend to be the ones who have to create the mood, the painting of the story that you're trying to evoke. I hope that's making sense. But yeah, just prove to recruiters that you can play around with color and light and changing the mood of one setting. And yeah, post your personal work illustrations, because that also shows the recruiters more about yourself, what you like to do, what you do for fun, your personality. And yeah, that is all from me for my presentation. So if you guys have any questions about the industry, anything to do with portfolio, now is the time, and I will do my best to help you guys out.
Oh, thank you, Michelle. That was awesome. I
Thank
like it. I
you.
like that you spent about 20 minutes roasting your own art. Kidding, but that wasn't very sad, but like that's very brave of you. Like you shared with us your portfolio and you've actually had it reviewed with professionals, of course. And then you're
Mhm.
sharing with us, which is very brave of you, the feedback you got when you were getting reviewed and stuff like that. But that is very insightful for me as an artist.
Mhm.
I wrote down a lot of notes like takes. Oh, that should do that, should do that. So,
Mhm.
not a lot of people like to share their weaknesses with us, but that was very helpful for me. All right. So, does anyone have any questions?
Yeah.
Do we have like that hands up feature or anything like that? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like just type in
Feel free to
chat.
raise your hand.
Yeah,
Yeah,
raise your
yeah.
hand and then you
Raise
can
hand.
unmute your mic and ask Michelle any questions like that.
Janet.
Jeanette ask that. Yes,
Yeah, Janet.
Janet, sorry.
All good. So one question I had was about showcasing like styles in your portfolio. So
Ooh.
like when usually when you're applying to different studios and stuff, do they so usually I heard like you generally want to apply to studios that have a similar style to what you have right now, right? Have you
Yes.
ever like modified your style to like fit a certain studio style or like um I don't know if I'm making sense, but like I see a lot of like concept art positions for something like, and they're like, oh, we want like hyper realistic like weapon designs or something. And I'm like, I have none
Mhm.
of that in my portfolio. Do you ever like go out of your way to see what people are looking for and like trying to um like add
Yeah.
that stuff to your portfolio or like
Michelle, you
how do
got
you do
that?
it? Yeah.
You got that,
Yeah,
Michelle?
yeah, I got
Cool,
that.
cool, cool.
To some degree, yes. I try to follow what the people like. For example, in my style, I was trying to follow Scott Watanabe. He's
Ooh,
the
Disney.
one responsible
Yeah.
for what's that movie called? Big Hero
Raya
6.
and the Last Dragon. Oh, and Big
Yeah,
Hero
yeah,
6.
yeah. That's what I was going for, but at the same time, I put my own twist to it. If you see my portfolio, I use a lot of heavy, thick lines. So, I yeah try. I feel like if you try to follow the style of someone else, it doesn't feel authentic. And from my experience, I tried doing that. I tried to replicate someone's style before I went with this portfolio, and I just don't feel enjoyment out of it. I don't feel like this isn't me. This is someone else. And when recruiters see your portfolio, they want to see your voice. And yeah, I learned this from work as well. My senior, she told me, oh yeah, we picked your portfolio actually because it's just fun. It shows your personality. So yeah, I guess my answer for your question is do your style.
Yeah.
You can take inspiration from other people, like how I did with Scott Watanabe and his wonky lines. But yeah, make sure to not lose your voice when you make your portfolio because it's important.
Okay, thank you. What if like
Yeah.
you have like multiple different styles that you like to do? Should you just stick to one or try to like showcase multiple?
Um, I feel like that's up to you because I have friends who do multiple various styles with their portfolio and it works for them. Yeah,
You just have
just you
to
because
you just have to organize it properly. Yeah,
yes.
so just make sure your portfolio page is not a mess of one picture this style, one picture next. It will hurt their eyes.
Uh-huh.
But if you organize it properly, like from project to project, like Michelle's portfolio, even though they're in
Mhm.
different styles, I think it work. And it might even like say, oh, this artist is very versatile and something like that. But just make
Yeah.
sure it's properly and like there's a story and it's not very disorganized, and I think that should be fine for multiple styles. And another tip, just apply everywhere.
Mhm.
Apply, because even if you get rejected, you can learn from it. Like, this
Yeah.
is the studio is not really your style, so you get rejected, you don't feel so bad, but at least
Mhm.
know what I
Yeah,
mean.
you never know.
Exactly. And for style, yeah, do what you love to draw. Like if you don't like drawing cars, don't put cars in portfolio, because you don't want to work a third was it 9 hours a day just drawing cars when you hate drawing cars, right? So do
Mhm.
in your style. Um, and know that some studios are like closer to your style. Disney's style is very different from like Cartoon Network for 2D animation and for like the 3D. So yeah, there's that, but do be versatile and
Mhm.
stuff like that. Do we answer
Yeah.
did Michelle
Oh
answer
yeah.
your question?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Oh, okay, I have a
Yeah. No
question for
problem.
you, Michelle, from did anyone put up their hands? From Catherine. Catherine, I think I could read it. Okay. She says, I have a question. If you have to choose between a job that pays well and the workload is quite close to your ideal job, which one you do, I guess, but it's not in the animation industry, versus working in an animation industry that doesn't pay so well, but you get to do what you always wanted. I only ask this since I'm a fresh grad and I'm considering a lot of stuff, especially dealing with parents that still have old-fashioned mindset. If it doesn't pay well, well, don't take all Asian parents. I understand. Yeah, Michelle, how about you? Like, there's the game industry and then there's the animation industry. How would you answer that?
Yeah. Ooh, that is a heavy topic.
Yeah, even I want to know the answer.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I understand that honestly. I so growing up, I was always told to pursue what I like. That way, when I make it as a career, I don't see it as a job. I see it as something fun to do. So I I would pick the second answer, which is like do what I like, but I don't get paid much. But I do understand, Asian families, Asian parents, they can be very conventional. They want you to be financially independent, and secure. I
So you go with the second one.
don't. Yeah, I go with the second one, but I fully understand how Asian parents can be, very critical, especially with financial topics.
You got to think about it, Catherine. And like Michelle does want to be responsible for your decisions. But if I may add, yes, yes, yeah, do what you want, and if you're passionate about it, the money will come. But always take in
Hmm.
consideration other factors. If your work environment is good, the pay maybe it's not that high as you want, but you're surviving. You're getting there, and there's always an opportunity. Get raises and more money, then yeah, you
Hmm.
should pursue what you want. But at the same time, if your workplace is toxic or something like that, or you really need the money, and like don't get underpaid. Don't work for like
Yeah.
for pennies, please. Have some
Hmm.
self-respect as an artist. Make sure you're getting paid what you're worth and things. So yeah, but experience is also important, even though you're working, like you said, an ideal job, not necessarily in the animation industry. For example, you're working in the game industry, but you want to work into animation. But that experience is valuable for getting there. So you're not starting where you want to be, but with the experience and when working and getting the experience, you'll get where you want to be. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So yeah, you got to think about it. There's no like straightforward answer, but yeah.
Yeah.
Hope that
I wish I
answers
could help, but all of us have different situations. I don't know your situation, so
Yeah, feel free. But like don't let your parents make your decisions for you. You're a grown adult.
yes.
So yeah. Okay, but like, don't
Mhm.
fight. Does anyone else and have any questions? Did I miss any questions?
Oh,
What?
what
Yes,
was
I have a question actually.
Hey, Jacqueline, sure, go ahead.
Hi. Hi, Michelle. Thank
Hi.
you so much for taking your time to speak with us. I really
Hey.
appreciate it. And it's so good to know another fellow Indonesian here in
Yay.
AIA. You have no
Selamat
idea
pagi.
how happy I am actually.
Oh.
Makasih banget.
I know
Yes,
it's very rare to see other Indonesians in the industry. So it's like when I see Indonesian, I'm like, oh yes, my
I know.
people.
Yeah, I'm starting to see like 2 or 3 names that pop
Mm.
up every once in a while in like the introduction. So I'm very, very pleased about it. Okay, so my question is, it actually, like I thought about it because when I saw your bio, like it says there that you do freelancing work sometimes. So I'm
Mhm.
just curious, what advice do you have for managing time between your studio job, like the one that you do like in a day, and
Mhm.
freelancing, especially for a fellow international who's trying to just make the most of her time here while still
Hustle, hustle.
being in the US,
Yeah.
because
Hustle.
I understand like there is always going to be room for growth, and like you don't know what's going to happen like in a year or like 5 years from now, but
Mhm.
like especially for like international students, most of the time it's like your time in the US is temporary. So yeah,
Yeah.
just like what advice would you give if you want to just make the most of your time here,
Oh,
especially as an artist?
so Jacqueline, you're asking
Mhm.
for freelance advice from Michelle?
Yeah, mostly about managing the time.
And managing time for freelance. I would also like,
Yes.
because some companies they
Uh,
don't allow you to do freelance and stuff. But yeah,
right.
Michelle, tell us how you hustle.
How I hustle. So
Yeah.
I I made myself a schedule. So
Schedule.
when I have freelance, I don't have freelance right now, but when when I have freelance, I'll do them after work on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and on the weekends if I have to. But yeah, I always make sure to give myself breaks between days, because I once did freelance work every time I finish working from my studio, and that is not good for my mental health. I feel like I just started um I can't differentiate between hobby and doing my job, because my hobby is drawing, my job is drawing, and then I try to do freelance and studio stuff every week. That's just, yeah, it's not good for my mental health. So yeah, so I guess my answer is make a schedule, and also make sure to put breaks in your schedule. So yeah, mentally you are okay.
Yeah.
And
Don't burn yourself out,
yeah,
Jacqueline.
don't burn yourself out. That is not good. That's not what you want.
Yeah.
And then as an international student, to make the most of your time, make connections. I feel like that's the most beneficial thing to do. I mean, you're already doing the right thing. I mean, you're connecting with us, you're connecting with me. That's good. um and if possible, also go to events like light walks, connect with people. Doesn't have to be in person. If tickets, plane tickets can be expensive, and transport can be expensive. Just go to Discord, like animation here, be active in it. You can put your work out there, then you can ask for feedback, or you don't even have to post anything. You can just comment on someone's post, and yeah, make connection. I feel like that's the best thing to do, as an international student with the amount of time we have here.
And update your LinkedIn.
And update your LinkedIn. Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, that's all very good advice. Thank you, Michelle.
Yeah, no
So remember,
problem.
just make a schedule. Don't burn yourself out. Treat yourself one in a while. Yeah, and make
Mhm.
connections. Right, right, right. Just to summarize Michelle's answer. Okay, anyone else have any questions? Raise your hands or just type in chat. Anybody? Anybody? We're making good time actually. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone? Anyone? Or else I'll ask a question. Okay, it's me. So Michelle, I want to ask is do you think personally it's possible to get more Indonesian representation in animation? It's like, is that something you're interested in or are you working for? This is a big question. Come on.
I would love to have more Indonesian representation, both in the animation film and the industry. Because I feel like there's a lot of us actually
Exactly.
who wants to get in the industry, but we are all spread out. That's the
Ah,
issue. Because like when I was in Lightbox, I was able to meet a bunch of Indonesians, and yet the issue is it's because we're all spread out. And
ah,
yeah, for Indonesian representation, I honestly would love that because so far we have Raya, but then Raya is a mixture of Southeast Asian cultures. So I'm like, you know, I wish there was like an Indonesian protagonist, in
yes,
the animation industry. That would be so cool.
that would be so cool.
I would cry if that happens. But yeah, yeah, us Indonesians, we're slowly growing in the industry, especially in both the animation and game industry. We're small, a small community, but slowly we're growing. Because I know a bunch of people who are currently still in school right now, and then they're working their ass off trying to get in the industry. Waze, I think one of my friend
Yes.
Lisa, yeah, she works her ass off. Like yeah, I think in Lightbox she was able to get a spot for, from DreamWorks portfolio review. So yeah, there's a lot of us out there who's working our butt off. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
mhm.
I mean, not
we're
just
we're slowly
Indonesian.
growing. We're slowly growing.
Exactly, and just not Indonesian representation. As we as anime Asians were striving for more Asian representation in animation. Like I love the movie Turning Red and everything like that. So it's like
Hmm.
we've got stories as American Asians. I'm not American Asians, but you American Asians. I'm sure you have all these stories that yeah, we are fighting for more opportunities to get that in animation. So yeah, you guys got to work hard, got to
Yeah,
get in the industry, got to get all the way up there so that we can bring that to the TV and the screen and stuff like that. And hope
yeah.
Michelle's advice today in office hours will help you with that along your various journeys. Okay, so is there any more questions? Last call for questions. We can wrap up, I think, a very successful office hours with Michelle. Nobody going once, going twice. All
Oh,
right. Okay.
Taylor has a question.
Oh, Taylor, sure. Go ahead.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Um, yeah, thanks, Michelle, for doing this. I did hop in a little late, so if somebody already asked this, but I'm just wondering what led you to choose VisDev, and if you tried anything else, like if you thought you wanted to do something else in the industry before choosing VisDev.
Um, I so funny story. I actually wanted to do concept art first. Concept art is more game heavy, It's like Blizzard, Riot games. I actually wanted to do that, because it's cool and I love rendering. But yeah, I decided to go for VisDev because my style and personality don't really match concept art. I feel like concept art is way too serious, but VisDev, it's very fun. Like you get to play around with shapes. You can make them wonky. You don't have to stick with realism. So yeah, that's why I wanted to go for VisDev after trying out doing concept art and realizing, ooh, I don't really like realism stuff. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah, thanks. That makes sense.
And then I think
Yeah.
last question from Sabrina is how did you go about making your personal projects? How do you go about making your stories for your projects and like their themes and stuff like that? I'm sure that's what she's asking. Yes.
So for personal projects, you can either make your own story or you can adapt someone's story and remake them. I see a lot of portfolios like remake the Wizard of Oz, and then they make it either more
They make an AU, like an alternate universe kind of thing.
yeah, alternate universes. I think back when I was in college, for Wizard of Oz, I think I did something cyberpunk. So I made the universe like very, filled with robots and stuff. Yeah, I think that's a good starting point to make personal projects. Other than that, you can make your personal projects like really goofy, something that you enjoy. So in my portfolio, the cat and the fish, that's an original story, and I made it at 2 a.m. because I cannot sleep. I just randomly thought, it would be funny to see a cat chef make sushi, and then the sushi becomes alive. And at first I thought of just designing a sushi that has legs, but then I thought, oh, it will be funny if it's only a fish head. So I feel like when you make personal projects, it doesn't have to be serious. It can be goofy. It can be whatever you want. Show your personality, show your humor.
Personality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Draw your
Yeah.
OCs. Just go crazy. Make sure it's
Yeah.
creative and how it shows how you think creatively.
Yeah, just be you. That's the summary of my talk. Just be you. Show who you are. If you're funny, then show in your work. Hey, I'm funny.
All right. I think we're heading towards closing time, but one last question I think we can answer really quickly for Waylon. What are software and specific skills for the industry? Okay, if you're in animation, you're doing 3D animation, Maya, ZBrush. If you're modeling, Maya, ZBrush. If you're doing if you want to be an artist, Photoshop. You gotta know Photoshop. That is industry standard, right? Clip Studio helps. If you're doing storyboarding, Storyboard Pro, which is Toon Boom, if am I right? Okay, so those are the
Yes.
softwares you could go in. Any other software that we're missing? Software specific.
Procreate.
Procreate is good too, but that's for illustration.
Yes.
It helps, and you can convert it to PSD, so it helps if you have an iPad and everything like that. But it's also very good things. It's on the go and stuff like that. That's pretty software skills. Yeah, so industry standards, Photoshop, Maya, and if 3D ZBrush and stuff. But just learn Photoshop if you're learning. So get into it.
There's one
And-
program that we always use for work at DreamWorks, and if you know how to learn, or if you can learn how to use ShotGrid or Shotgun, they're both the same name. That is like a big program because majority of the time, like no one says that or puts that on their portfolio. And we've had people, or I've had friends who have purely got an interview because they put ShotGrid on their.
What is that? Is that for storyboarding?
It's for everything. Like it's primarily
Everything.
for putting like designs as well as like some storyboards are put on there, but it's like it's like a really big like hidden program that you just use. Like it's a lot for like uploading and filing and then telling you where to find certain.
Okay, you guys heard him. ShotGrid, right? ShotGrid.
Shotgun. You just put ShotGrid.
Shotgun. Okay. I would like to add one more. PureRef. PureRef is good for compiling references. Yes, PureRef. Just take a look at that. You guys can Google it later, but I think we gotta end it up. I would actually like to take a picture or screenshot with everyone. So if you guys can, on your cameras, just for a second, I will take a snap. I don't know. Wait, how do I do it? Wait. Or like Jeremy, can you help me with that? Like taking a screenshot with everyone. Like that side by side gallery. Okay, view options.
I can't do it on the iPad, unfortunately.
Okay, everyone, hold on for 1 second. Do not leave yet. If I can do the standard, where's the grid view? Oh, Michelle, can you stop sharing for a second?
Yes.
I forgot. Oh, nice. Now I can see everybody. That's cool. Okay.
Thank you for coming, guys.
Everybody, thank you for Michelle. Give her a round of applause in your separate places, anything like that. Thank you, Michelle. But yeah, that wraps it up. Have a great evening.
Have a great night, evening, morning.
All right.